I just checked it on the website, I saw it, it's nice, it had to be something kind, it could, you know.
Yeah. Apparently you all got the memo, even though I didn't say. We need a strap today. So if you're home, grab yourself a strap, and here too, if you like 3-block dolphin, if you want to do a 3rd block, grab a 3rd block. Just sounded really good to me this morning.
I'll get my own fancy.
And then, even though everyone was standing up, wandering around, we can sit. So, grab blankets if you want, you know, let yourself get comfortable how you're sitting. I'm assuming that the volume is okay here. Oh boy, good, Chrissy. So, let yourself sit comfortably. Cross legs if you want, stretch legs out if you want. And start to close your eyes gently. Shift around just a little bit to get really easy so that you have your sense of feeling your sitting bones equally into the floor, okay? And then maybe rock a little bit back and forth just so you feel almost like you're just rocking, a kind of calming rocking, not like you're trying to stretch anything out and go real deep. And then come on back up to center and close your eyes. Let them very lightly be closed. And see if with your eyes closed you can bring your focus down like you're looking down. Don't let your head come down, but just your eyes are going to look down towards the floor. And then see if you can let your focus come back forward. Again, you're not going to move your head, but you're going to try to look up a little bit, like you're looking up towards your eyebrows. And then bring your gaze back forward, and now look to the right. Let your eyes just dart over to look right. And then come back through center and let them look left. And then come back to center. And now let's do like kind of a diagonal line. So look up to the right with your eyes. Remember, not your head. And then look down to the left with your eyes. And then come back into center and let's look up to the left. And then down to the right. And then back into center again. And now, let yourself just release. So now imagine your eyes are just melting back into your sockets. Let your eyes gently close here. Let your hands come to a comfortable place. And then just receive those breaths into your belly. And now, start to imagine you're making circles with your navel. So instead of the whole torso staying nice and long, see if you can just imagine circling your navel in one direction. So it kind of wakes up the belly. You feel your side waist. You feel your back and your hips a little bit. These circles can be really small or they can get bigger and bigger. So inhaling as the navel comes forward. Exhaling as the navel draws back towards your spine. And to reverse directions from here, you stop where it feels good to stop so that you can just reverse and go the other way. So really feel the belly here. Enjoy feeling your back, your side waists. And then finish off so that you can sit up nice and tall here now, releasing your hands on out to the floor beside you. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead, and let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse. Inhale the hands straight on up through the midline, And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And now if you're cross-legged, switch the cross of your legs so you can bring your other leg in front. Hey, I forgot to tell you guys that you might hear some noise. They're trying to fix the hot water line, and it's in the men's bathroom. So if you hear a bunch of scrambling around out there, that'll be what it is. So from here, sitting nice and tall, other leg in front, releasing your hands on out beside you. And we'll inhale again, both arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll inhale the hands straight on up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And now these little circles again. Put your hands wherever's comfortable. On your knees, on the floor if you want. See if you can feel a little bit of a difference when a different leg is in front as you start to move into these circles of the navel. Inhaling forward and exhaling when you draw back. And if you want them to get bigger and bigger, you can, or they can be really, really deep and small. We're going to stop in reverse directions again, letting yourself move on into the other side. Good, and then finish off. Come on back up to the top, back at center here. And let's all stretch our right leg out beside us. Actually, let's stretch both legs out. So bring both your legs out. Now, they don't have to go very wide apart. That's up to you. Just let it be comfortable. So for me, I like to be with my heels on a mat. So if you need to scoot back a little bit, do. But bring your right hand down to your right shin. And then just slide your hand on down for a little bit of a side stretch here, down towards your ankle or your foot. That's up to you. Roll your left shoulder up, and you can put your hand just on your waist if you want for a couple of breaths. You can kind of put your hand on your ribs if that feels good, to kind of feel that openness through the rib cage here on the left side. Breathing into that side. And now start to reach the arm up long. Stretch it up overhead, straight up from your shoulder. And now it's up to you if you want to send the arm on over farther down towards your head and come over a little deeper into your side stretch. Good. And then we'll rise on back up. Come forward just a little bit, just to wake up the insides of the legs a little bit more and feel your hamstrings a little bit more before we do the other side. Doesn't mean you have to go way deep. And then we'll come back up, put our left hand on our leg now, slide it on down. Again, right hand on the hip at first, just take your time. If you can put your hand on your ribs, just to enjoy feeling. It's kind of fun to just realize how much space you have between the ribs and how amazing it is that they protect our internal organs, isn't it? Just breathe. And then we'll start to reach that arm straight up if you can. Straight up from your shoulder, palm forward. And now, of course, that lowering the arm down depends on you and your shoulder, whether you want to bring the arm down closer towards your head or not. Opening up through the right side of the body. Good. And then we'll slowly rise on back up, and let's come forward one more time. So take your time, let yourself enjoy, feel the back of the legs. Try to let your toes and knees face up so you're not rolling your legs forward, and really just enjoy feeling the backs of the legs and the inner thighs. Nice. And then we'll rise back up, walking ourselves up, bringing our legs on closer together, shake them out just a little bit, do a little flip-flop windshield wiper blades. And we're going to come around to our hands and knees from here. And you know, if you'd rather have a blanket underneath your knees or your hands, by all means grab it. Take your time, spread your fingers wide, let yourself enjoy. Kind of wag your tail around a little bit, get your knees set there, get your hands really under your shoulders, but your pointer fingers about parallel to each other. And then come on back into center, and as you exhale, drawing up into that cat pose. And when you inhale, send your tailbone backing up and move through your spine here into your cow. So take your own timing here. Just let yourself easily enjoy waking up the spine. Good, we'll finish the one we're on. And we'll come back to more neutral spine. And we're going to send our right foot back behind us, curl the toes under, keep the toes on the floor so you can really zip up your belly and feel the back of that right leg. Press into your hands equally. Good, and then from here, we're going to use the left foot like a kickstand. Let it come a little bit over to the left. Shift onto your left hand and bring your right hand to your right hip, and you'll be on the inside of that right foot back there. See if you can stretch your right arm straight on up, and then maybe rise that right foot off the floor. You don't have to rise the right foot off the floor. That's up to you. Coming into that little side plank variation. Really feel everything waking up here, right? Your core, reaching your right sit bone down towards your heel, engaging the belly, the low back. One more breath. We're going to put the hand and the knee on back down to the floor. And we're going to send the left foot back behind us. Curl the toes under. Press into that heel. Really engage your belly now. Feel like you're zipping up your low belly. Feel like you're pressing equally into your hands, like you're pushing the floor away from you. Almost like you want to bring that right knee up. Like it's really close to floating up. And now we're going to shift to kickstand that right foot a little behind us. Shift to our right hand, bring our left hand to our left hip, and then stretch that left arm straight on up, palm forward, as if you want to lift that left foot off the floor, do, and feel what happens. There's your belly, your low back. You can feel your hips, feel your left sit bone reaching for your heel. I forgot to stay on the other side. You can even turn and look up towards your hand if that feels good in your neck. And then we're going to bring everything down. Hand back down, knee back down, shift towards your pose of a child. Let yourself release on back. Keep your arms overhead. And let yourself soften your elbows. And then we're going to shift our hips a little to the left and walk our hands towards the right. As far as you want to go. Doesn't matter how far you go. Once you get as far as you want, see if you can let your head release again towards the ground. So you're not tensing up your neck. And then just breathe. And then we'll walk back through center and shift your hips to the right a little bit. Hands are walking to the left. And again, get a place where you feel okay so you don't feel like you're tensing up in your neck, your throat, your face. Let everything go. Good. And then we'll walk on back into center again. One more breath here in your pose of a child. Now, spread your fingers wide. Hug your elbows towards each other so you're already coming into those dog arms, really. And on your next inhale, come on up to all fours, curl your toes under, and let's reach up and back into downward facing dog pose. Spread the fingers wide now. Focus on your thumbs and your pinkies pressing into the floor. See if you can feel very equal, spreading those fingers wide, but making sure you're not rolling on your hands. And now press into your middle finger, your ring finger, and your pointer fingers. Good. And then from here, let's bring our left foot forward to come into lunge. And it does not matter how you get there. You can put your knee down, and once you get into lunge, if you want to grab your blocks, go for it. As we come in to get you warmed up here. So, draw your shoulders down, away from your ears. See about lifting up enough to put your left forearm on your thigh. And then see if you can bring your hands just to meet in prayer hands. You don't have to. If you feel like you need to leave your right hand down, do. And then we'll bring both hands back down, and we're going to switch and bring our right foot forward. So getting into that alignment, that lunge where you're comfortable to be. See if you can bring your right forearm on up right above your knee there, pressing into it. And if you're able to bring your hands into prayer hands, do, but it's not necessary. Keep the left hand down if you need. Good. And then we'll bring both hands on back down. And we're going to step forward, finding our standing forward bend here now. So if you have your blocks, you need them under your hands, use them. You know, if you feel better off to bend your elbows, bend your knees and put your elbows above your knees, you can do that. Or you can let your body come forward as much as feels good for you. Feel your head moving around a little bit. Maybe you want to nod or shake it a bit to let yourself release through your neck. Let your jaw feel nice and released, not always easy. So if opening your mouth a little bit or moving your mouth around helps do. And then let yourself just enjoy full deep breaths. And as we now bend our knees, we'll bring our hands to our hips. We're going to rise on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Coming into mountain pose here now. Feeling the hands actually just barely disconnect your hands. So let your hands come just a teeny tiny bit apart. So you still feel the energy of the hands there. They're not quite touching. You can feel the warmth, the energy coming from your fingers, your palms. And then just softly, really softly, allow the hands to come back together there in front of your chest. Letting the body align itself here in your mountain pose. And as we inhale the hands right on up through the midline now, keep them together and then bend your elbows and bring your hands, maybe you can put them behind the top of your head. That depends on you. Maybe more up higher on top of the head instead of at the back of your head. Hug your elbows in a little bit towards each other. Then see if you can rise your elbows up a bit. You're kind of pressing your head into your hands a bit. Open up a little more through the front body. Just make sure you're not tucking your tailbone forward. One more inhale. And on the exhale, come on back up to the center and bring the hands right back down together in front of your heart. And then we'll release our arms down beside us. And inhale the arms out and up overhead. You can look up if it's okay for your neck. And on the exhale, bend your knees and come on forward into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long flat back. And we're going to step our right foot back to find lunge. And inhale, exhale into our downward facing dog pose. So take your time. If you need to wiggle around a little bit to get into your dog and let it feel real good, do walking or wagging tail or moving your head a little bit. Just be mindful. Sometimes adjusting your stance in dog, like if you feel like you need to walk a little further back with your feet or a little further forward. And on the next inhale, let's come on out to that plank. So try to keep the belly engaged. Reach your sitting bones down towards your heels. And now we're going to lower down. Now, if you can, try to think you're coming towards the front of your mat first. Press with your toes a little bit so you come forward and then lower down. Elbows right by the ribs, which is really hard. And then let's come onto our forearms and find our Sphinx pose here. Let yourself bring your gaze between your hands. Now, for a second, press into the top of your left toes and bend your right knee and flex your right foot. Keep pressing gently into those toes of the left foot, the top of the toes. And then lower the right foot down, and we'll do the same thing. We'll bend the left knee, press into, flex the foot, press into the top of the right foot. And then we'll release and come on back down. And we're going to lower back down Coming hands by the chest again as we make our way back into down dog. Whether you come through a full or a half push-up or back to your hands and knees and back to down dog. Let your head be in line with your spine here. And we're going to bring our right foot forward to come into lunge. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend again. Go right to your breaths. Accepting those breaths. Do whatever you need for support. Let go of your face. Good. One more breath. And then we'll bring our hands on up to our hips and press into our feet as we rise on up. We'll inhale the arms out and up. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our heart. Now we're going to come into chair pose, but as you come into chair, sitting back, let your arms rise up by your ears and come into your chair pose with your arms pretty much in line with your ears if you can, right? So bring the gaze however far forward feels good to you, a few feet in front of you on the floor. One more breath here. And then bring your hands together in front of your heart into prayer hands, and we're going to twist to the right. If you want, you can lower your right elbow to that left knee. Coming into twist here. And then we'll make our way back into center. Take a breath here at center. And then we'll go the other way. You don't have to go all the way down with the elbow to the knee. That's up to you. Try to keep your hips level and square, your knees equally bent. Good. And now we're going to come on back into center again. We're going to rise straight on up. Inhale the hands up through the midline. Keep the arms apart, maybe kind of a wide open V. One more breath here. And then lower the arms behind you, clasp your hands, and we're going to fold forward into standing forward bend from here. Now you can keep your hands on your back. You can release your arms off the back if your shoulders let you do that. You be where you can. Easy breaths here. And then let the hands come back down. We'll release them down towards the floor. Let your next inhale lengthen your spine. And exhale, left foot back into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Let's inhale out to plank. Find your plank nice and strong. And then we're going to come back into down dog. And we're going to do that one more time. Inhale out to your plank. And then make your way back into down dog. This time we're going to inhale out into plank. And let's do a little side plank work, right? So you can either do a full side plank on your left hand down, or you can put your left knee down like we did before and do a variation of that side plank. And then we'll come on back through to center, and we're going to go the other side. So again, you can put your right knee down, or you can let yourself come into full side plank. And then we'll make our way back. And we're going to lower down. Again, knees first if you'd like. Elbows right by the ribs. And let's come into a little cobra. You don't have to go any higher than just a little tiny lift up, or you can press into your hands and come higher up if you choose. And then we'll release to come back down and shift back into child's pose from here. Let yourself shift your hips back. Now, this might not be comfortable for everybody, but if you can, arms overhead, bend your elbows and put your hands up on the back of your neck or your upper back. And just breathe. Good. Again, if that hurts your shoulders, don't do it. And then we'll release to long arms again. We're going to come back up to all fours, curl our toes under, and make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Good. Walk a little bit. And on the next inhale, come on out to plank. We're going to lower down. And we're going to come into another back bend. So it can be a tiny cobra, or you can press all the way up if you choose. We're going to make our way back to down dog from here. So moving your way back through. And we'll step our left foot forward. We'll come into lunge. And then we'll come back into standing forward bend. right to those breaths. So if you know holding your elbows feels like a huge relief, go for it. If you'd rather do something else with your hands, if you'd rather put them up on your back or have your elbows above your knees so that you're not loading your low back. You don't want your back to feel uncomfortable. And then we're going to bring our hands to our hips and rise on up to standing and inhale our arms out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Now, let your mountain pose help you calm down here before we come into moving through two sun salutations with our breaths. So easily, just even out, balance yourself out here. Or let the body do it really, just by focusing on your breath. And then we'll unfold our arms back down beside us and inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bend our knees and come on forward into standing forward bend. Let your inhale lengthen out your spine. Exhale, right foot back to lunge. And inhale, exhale into your down dog. Let your inhale bring you to plank. Your exhale will lower you down. And your inhale will bring you into your cobra. Exhale, back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, right foot forward. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rise up. Inhaling all the way up to the top. Let your exhale carry you forward. And inhale into that long back. Exhale, left foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your down dog. Let your inhale carry you to plank. And your exhale will lower you down. And inhale into that cobra. Exhale back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward, lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way up. And let your exhale bring you forward. Inhale into that long back, and we're going to come into down dog. However you want to get there. Make your way into dog. Take your time. Walk a little bit. Bend your knees if you want to. And breathe. Imagine you're breathing into your back ribs a little bit here in your dog. And we will bring our left foot forward. Have both your blocks handy here by the front of your mat in case you need them. Let yourself come on up into your warrior two and line up your heels. See about getting really mindful of this front knee and how deeply bent you are, where you feel pretty good about it. Bring your arms on out. Let's cross our right arm under our left, so give yourself a hug. And once you're there, if you need to move your head around a little bit, do. Let it feel really good. Just release there between the shoulder blades. And now right from here, let your come unhugged, but send your elbows out and imagine you're putting your palms on a table right in front of your chest. So your palms are facing down, they're right in front of your chest. And all you're going to do is unfold your arms into warrior two arms and let your gaze come right out over the top of that left hand, reaching equally through both sets of fingertips. Really enjoy feeling the feet in the mat here. Arches lifting up, four corners of the feet down. And let's lower our right arm down. We're going to straighten the left leg out and bring the left hand down for triangle. I like to use a block, so I'm going to grab a block for underneath my hand. You're more than welcome to use your leg or the floor or stack blocks. Be up higher. Go ahead and roll your right shoulder up. Add your right arm on top. Let yourself stretch up through the fingertips. Now this is another one where if you feel like you want to turn to look up, you can. Pressing forward a little bit with your right hand. Not necessary to do that. Good. One more breath. And now bring your right hand to your right hip. Look down at your left foot because we're going to bend the left knee. Now if you can, keep your hand where it is, coming at a side angle here. So your knee is bent. If you've got your hand on the block, you can have quite a bit of weight on it. If you decide to put your elbow above your knee, do. As you're still looking down now, trail your right hand up by your right ribs and in front of your ear, and then right stretching it long for that side angle. And now if you want to turn to look forward, to look towards the long edge of your mat, you can. One more breath. And now we're going to turn back to face the floor, and we're going to find lunge. So you might want your blocks, releasing that right heel directly behind you. You might want to use the floor. We're going to add a twist, left hand to the left hip, and rolling that left shoulder up. Hand can stay down on your low back. You can stretch the arm up if you want. And of course, if any of you want to bring your right elbow over to your left knee and come into twisted prayer with your hands in prayer, you can. One more breath. And then we'll release to come on back down, and we're going to make our way back into downward facing dog pose from here. Walk all the way to the tops of the feet a little bit, and take your time with it. Like really stay long enough to let the feet stretch out when you're on the top of your toes. And then you're on your own. You don't have to do anything at all. You can put your knees down and rest. You can come out for vinyasas or kriyas if you choose. Maybe you don't want to do any back bends. Maybe you just want to come out to plank and back to dog. Maybe you do. Take your time. Be mindful. Let it feel good, whatever you choose to do, right? Good, and then we'll meet back in downward facing dog pose. And this time we will bring the right foot forward to come up for warrior two. Again, blocks handy. You kind of know what's coming now. So take your time, line up your heels, get that alignment of that front knee, but also how deeply you want to bend that front knee. Good. Let your arms hang for a second. And then we'll bring the left arm under the right and come into that hug again, but let it feel really easy. Open up between the shoulder blades. Let the elbows melt down. Let it feel good. And now again, it's like you're releasing yourself and then bringing the hands in front of you with the palms facing down, and they're right in front of your chest. Spread them out. Spread your fingers. Feel your elbows reaching away from each other, really. And as you unfold the arms, you'll bring the gaze to turn to look right over the top of the right hand. Feel the feet pressing gently away from each other. Good. And then bring the left hand down. We're going to straighten that right knee out and bring the right hand down for our triangle. So again, remember, if you use a block, it can be in front of or behind that right leg, pretty close to your ankle or lower leg there. And then go ahead and turn to look up. If you can stretch your top arm up, do. And again, if pressing forward a little bit with that left hand makes you just want to turn to look up at it, because that changes for you really how your neck feels. You can look up if you choose. Good, and then we're going to turn to look back down at our right foot. Put your left hand on back down. We're going to bend the right knee. Now, you can adjust where you want to have your hand, or you can put your forearm on your thigh if you want for your side angle. But then see if you can trail your left hand up the side of the body by your rib cage, by your ear. Stretch it long. Turn the palm down to look at the floor for a second. And then when you turn to look to the long edge of your mat, let the pinky turn even more towards the floor. Coming into your extended side angle pose. Nice, beautiful. One more breath here. And then we'll turn to look at the floor, because we're going to find lunge. So releasing that left heel directly behind. Your twist of choice here, you know that. So left hand can stay down. Right hand can come to the hip or the low back. You can stretch the right arm up if you want, or you can do twisted prayer, bringing your left elbow over there to your right knee, which is a balance. Good, one more breath. And then we'll come on back down with the hand. We're going to make our way back into downward facing dog pose. So again, walk through your feet a little bit. Shake your legs out if you want. And then it's up to you if you want to come out for any vinyasas or kriyas. You can, you don't need to. You can come out for plank. You can move through for back bends or not. Good, remember you're always welcome to put your knees down. Good. So let's meet back in down dog. Let your knees bend pretty deeply for a second. Send your sitting bones back. Let your elbows hug towards each other. Let it feel like a relief. Because from here we're going to bring our left foot forward. We're coming up for warrior one. So as you kind of adjust that back foot before you rise on up, get your arms forward if you can and try to let your palms face each other, but try not to round forward in your shoulders and draw the arm bones back into the shoulder sockets. Feel the feet very equal in the floor. And then inhale your arms up. Now you can separate them wider if you want, or you can keep the hands above the shoulders. Maybe you can imagine there's a bar right underneath your shoulder blades that you want to lift up and over. So if you can come into that uplift, that little bit of a back bend. Remember, belly's still working. You don't want to feel any discomfort in your back. One more breath. And then we'll lower the arms down, and we're going to turn sideways on our mat and let our toes turn out a little bit for a bit of goddess here. So toes are turning out. Bend the knees. Let your hands come to your heart for a second. If you need to look at your knees, make sure your knees are coming out over your toes do. Feel your tailbone dropping down. Good. And then see if you can lift your right heel up a little bit and bring it back down. And then try your left heel up a little bit and bring it back down. And if you want to try for both, you can. And then bring them back down. See if you can sink a little bit lower. Really feel your quads there. Good. And then rise on up. We're going to turn our toes more parallel to, feet parallel to each other. And come on forward. You can grab block, you know that if you want, or hands on the floor. See if you can walk your hands out, either on blocks or the floor, way out in front of you, like you're doing down dog. Let your knees bend a little bit. And then when your heart sinks down a little towards the floor, you really get into that bit of a back bend there. So enjoy it. Maybe even get a little pop, which I just did, which is awesome. So take your time, let it feel good. And then come on back with your hands, and you decide how you want to support yourself here. Whether you want to bring blocks under your forearms or your head, or you want to bring your hands between your feet. Maybe you feel better to bring your hands to your ankles. And sometimes for me, if I put my hands on the ankles and let my forearms press into my shins, I can feel a nice release that way for the back. But you know, everybody's different. Find where you want to be. Let yourself enjoy full deep breaths. Now let your eyes soften. Good. One more full, complete, deep breath. And let's walk our hands out so we can walk back to our left foot, coming on back into lunge. And we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. And again, you're on your own. Really allow your body to dictate what you want to do right now. And that changes through class, right? I mean, depends. Sometimes you start to feel like you want to get more and more energy and you want to move a little bit more, and sometimes you're like, I want to rest, put my knees down. Good. So let's come on back and meet in down dog. And from here, we'll bring our right foot forward, and we're coming up for warrior one. So be mindful. Take your time again. Get your stance, the width and the length that feels good as you start to send your hands right directly forward, palms facing each other. Remember, you don't want to roll forwards. You want to think of like your chest coming a little bit as you draw your arm bones back into your shoulder sockets. And then as you float the arms up, widen them if you need. Let yourself come into that lift in the front of the body. Arches of both feet lifting up, four corners reaching down. Particularly think of the back foot arch rising off the floor. One more breath. And then we'll lower our arms on down. And again, we're going to turn to face the long edge of our mat. Turn your toes out a little bit. Let yourself come into that goddess. And now move a little bit. So let yourself, keep your hands on your hips and just straighten your legs out and come up and then bend the knees and go back down. So just 3 or 4 times. Let yourself feel the thighs, the hips. Don't overdo, make sure the knees are coming out over the center of your feet. And then when you enter, end up back down with the knees bent, stay. We're going to stretch our arms straight out from our shoulders and bend our elbows to 90 degrees for goddess arms. And then from here, bring your arms towards each other in front of you and come into eagle wrap. Doesn't matter which arm's on top. You can do a half, you can do a hug if you'd rather. It doesn't matter which way you go. And now undo the arms and switch and bring the other arm on top. And again, see if you can come into either a half eagle wrap or full eagle wrap or a hug. Hello legs, one more breath. And then we're going to release. And now bring your hands to your thighs. Come forward. Let yourself put your hands above your knees and really support yourself, right? Your arms are straight. In fact, they're almost locked, right? You're leaning back a little bit. It should feel like a good release for your hips. And then bring your hands on down towards blocks to the floor, okay? Bend your right knee. Let your left foot lift up, stay on your heel. And then come on back through center and do the same thing on the other side. Lift your right foot up, bend the left knee. The heel is on the floor. Now, you can do those lower shifts. You can let yourself bend your right knee and use your hands to support you for your hips to go down towards the ground with the toe of that left foot facing up. You don't need to do that. And then if you want, you just shift over to the other side. So again, this is up to you. Don't do it if it hurts your knees or your hips. And coming on back into center, we'll turn our toes more forward so we're more parallel. And let yourself do what you need to do here. Again, get comfortable. Whatever support sounds like a good idea, use it, right? Blocks come in really handy for forearms, but also for your head sometimes. And just breathe, full deep breaths. Nice. And we're going to slowly make our way on out with our hands so we can walk back to our right foot. Come back into lunge. And make our way back into downward facing dog pose. On your own, last time. So if you feel like you want to come into some vinyasas, if you don't like moving through those chaturangas, those push-ups, then by all means don't do it. Let yourself come from down dog to plank to up dog. Good. Nice. We're going to meet back in downward facing dog pose. And then from here, walk your feet a little wider on your mat. Let your hands walk back enough to where you can then have your right hand on the floor. Reach your left hand over to your right ankle. So you're just reaching across. You don't have a lot of weight in that right hand there, but if it bothers your wrist, you can kind of adjust. And then we're going to switch and go the other side. So right hand is going to come across towards that left ankle. And then release, bend your knees. Let your elbows come above your knees for a second. And then we'll press into our thighs with our hands and come on up to standing. And walk around a little bit. Move through your feet and your ankles. Take your time. We're going to pull our mats into a ball. And we are going to get our straps. Yay for the straps. So, I'm going to stay this way for now. I'm going to use the pole. So, let's turn left hand towards the wall. And let's put our strap across the ball of our right foot. So when you step on the strap, and you kind of even it out, right, so that you have it even right to left, the foot's kind of in the middle, just make sure when you get ready to lift this foot up in front of you, you can tell right away if you're rolling. Like I have a tendency on this foot to roll to the pinky toe side of the foot. So I have to make extra, effort to feel equal into the base of the big toe mound and the little toe mound. Now, you can straighten the leg up and keep it really low. Keep your shoulders over your hips and bring your left arm up in balance here, and that might be enough, right? If you want to make it more about the core body, you can keep your leg low and work on that. If you want to get more of a stretch going on in your leg, then you can bring it up higher, and you can do the same thing. You can still balance, but if you want to bring the leg up higher, you can. Now, if you need to, put your left hand back on the wall. We're going to open the leg to the right, rotating that heel forward. Again, you're welcome to balance here. You're welcome to hold on to the wall. It can be very low. The leg can be low. Heel rotates forward. You're finding that outward hip rotation, or it can be up higher. And then bring your leg on back front. Bring the leg down. Keep the strap on it as you bring the strap over your shoulder. The strap will usually end up on the top of your foot or your ankle. So if it's the top of your foot, you're just pressing into the top of the foot, and there you are, really using your quad there. And you can balance just upright. You can, even from there, send the knee back a little bit, keep the strap on your shoulder, let your chest come forward a little bit in balance. Or some of you might like to bring the strap over your head, right? And come a little bit deeper, holding both ends of the strap in your both hands, and then letting yourself come a little forward. Try not to lock that supporting knee. And then when you're ready, release down, hold on to whatever you need to before we come around to the other side. Take care of that leg you're standing on, because it is an intense process here. A good one. So, again, as you put the strap on the ball of the left foot and it comes up, you can bend the knee like you're stepping up a step so you get really easy. Now, if you think about it, when you bring your foot forward like that, you almost automatically lean back. Try not to lean back. Shoulders are over your hips. You can, again, straighten the leg out and keep it low. You can work on balance there with the leg low. You may decide you want to slide your hand up the strap, let it come up higher. Maybe you want to balance a little bit there. And now when you're ready to open the leg to the side, you can hold on to the wall if you need. Opening the leg out. Remember, nobody has like a 180-degree turnout. So your leg is out, for most of us, around 45 degrees for your hips to stay square. So you don't want to over-open and turn your hips out. That really does a number on the supporting knee, too. Good. Come back to the front. Bring the foot down. Bring the foot behind you as you bring the strap over your shoulder. At first, keep the strap on your shoulder and just press into the strap with the top of your foot or ankle. See if you can balance there. And of course, if you like to keep the strap on your shoulder and come forward, that feels pretty good. Even keeping your hand on the wall. That's a nice back bend. Totally up to you. And then again, if you like to come up and hold the strap with both hands. You can stay upright doing that. You can walk your hands down the strap more and let yourself come into a deeper back bend if you choose. And then when you're ready, let yourself come down. Get rid of the strap. And then let yourself kind of separate your feet a little bit. Do little hip circles. And let the knees be bent a little bit. Let it feel really easy. And you can go the other way. Just allowing yourself to release there. Good. And we're going to come down, and we're going to have our feet back towards the wall. Oh, no, we're not. I'm sorry. If you've got your 3 blocks, you can set your 3 blocks up when we come down to the floor to do some dolphin. Now, if you don't have the 3 blocks, then if you want to use the wall for your feet, you can. If you are using the 3 blocks to come into dolphin, bottom block, highest height. The 2 on top, turn the other way, and they stick out slightly. And you can hook your fingers around that bottom block because there's room before the wall is there. And then you can lift up and press into the blocks and really come into a release dolphin here. Now, if you don't want to do this one and you want to do heels up the wall, do heels up the wall. If you're like, I don't want to do any of that, don't do any of that. So, remember, in dolphin, that's it. You got it, Tom. In dolphin, your head is not on the floor. And when you're using blocks, like everybody here in the studio is, so I'll talk like you're using blocks at home. This is really a preparation both for headstand, which in headstand you don't really have your head on the floor either, and with weight on it. And it's preparation for forearm stand. But it also just feels good. You know? Using these blocks and feeling where they're encouraging you to release. So if you feel your head, the back of your head gently coming into that bottom block, and you feel where those blocks connect between the shoulder blades, you can kind of think of releasing there. You're still working, obviously. Pressing into your forearms, hugging your elbows towards each other. You feel that hollowing in your armpits. Now, if anybody wants to lift the leg up, you can. You can have a leg up. You can do both legs up if you want. You can stay with both feet down. So just kind of enjoy being upside down. It's a nice way to be inverted, right? Where it's not so harsh because you have that support behind you. You know, you don't have to wait for me. Ooh, sometimes don't you feel like you stay there all day? But when you're ready to come down, take it easy. Let yourself release down. Breathe. However you need to release. Either sitting up with your head above your heart or being in your child's pose, right? Okay. So we are going to come around to sitting from here. So take your time. You can move your blocks kind of out of the way. And let yourself stretch your legs out in front of you. Move through your feet and your ankles a little bit. And then just come into a classic seated forward bend. If that means you want to add a blanket or blocks under your knees so that you can come forward from your low back. So if your hamstrings are pretty tight, your low back is pretty tight, then this action of coming forward from the low back is not always easy. But you have to adjust to what your own body lets you do, right? And over time, if you do practice, things do change. So take your time, let yourself release into that forward bend where you're coming out over your legs, but you're trying not to just collapse forward in the upper body. It's coming forward from the low back. Breathe. If you're pretty easy in a forward bend and you're pretty far forward, sometimes it's fun to cross your arms and hold on to the outside of your opposite foot with your hands. Now you might say, I don't think that's fun, so don't do it if it's not, but it's just a different feeling. Adding a different feeling sometimes helps. One more breath. And now we're going to slowly come up, and we're going to shift onto our left hip and bring our right legs to the side of us. Now, when you get your legs here, for most of us, it's either your right ankle on top into the instep of your bottom foot, or maybe kind of more like your calf, your lower leg. It depends on you. You're totally on this left hip. You're not trying to push your right hip down. We're going to twist. So it's like you're lengthening up, and it's already put your spine in a different alignment, right? So sitting up tall, letting yourself just not trying to force anything at all. It'll feel a little odd. But as you exhale, twist to your left. Your right hand can come to your left knee. You can bring your left hand around behind you as far as you want. Some of you might like to take your right hand and slip, if your arm's long enough, slip your hand underneath the outside of that left leg right above your knee and let yourself come there. But that's up to you. You can just hold the knee. Just let yourself feel length. It's a different feeling in the hips. Still try to lengthen up through the top of your head. Feel your chin about parallel to the floor. Give the body time to adjust as you just be with your breath. Good. We're going to slowly come back around the center, and we're going to switch our legs on around. So now your left foot or ankle is on top of your arch of that bottom foot, or maybe, like I said, if it's more comfortable to come up higher with that top leg being higher on your arch. There's no right or wrong. How far apart your knees are, it doesn't matter. So you're trying to sit up nice and tall. You're really lopsided. You're really on that right hip, right? So when you do twists, sometimes this top knee wants to go farther away from you, like that. If that does happen, do it if it feels good. And again, you can hook this left hand if you want underneath the outside of above that right knee, or not. You can just rest the hand on the knee. So you can really feel your side waist in this twist, right? Let yourself, very odd feeling twist, but a really nice one. We haven't done it in a long time, so just enjoy. Let your body find what it can. Good. One more breath. And then use your belly to bring you back around into center. And let's swing our legs now on back in front of us. And grab your blocks, just for fun. Couple of blocks. Do the lowest height and bring them back behind you. And see if you can put your forearms on them. Now, okay, granted, if you have shoulder issues and this doesn't work for you, don't do it. But try not to collapse. Let your shoulders round forward like this. Try to think of your chest lifting and opening here across your chest. And again, if it hurts your shoulders, don't do it. Now, just for fun, bring your feet to the floor. Kind of makes it easier at first. That's just wishful thinking, though, because we're going to lift our feet up, and we're going to stretch the legs up, and we're going to start to lower them down. And man, oh man, it doesn't take long. Your belly goes, oh my. Try to stay where you really feel your belly and your low back working. And if it hurts, don't do it. It's a boat pose, right? Bring your feet down for a second. Lift your hips up just a little bit, kind of release a little. And then try it again. So think about this as a boat pose, right? You can even keep your knees bent and play a little bit. You can keep them straight, lower them down a little bit. Feel how your belly, your low back, your hips are working. It's actually hard. Come come on down with your feet. Bring yourself forward. Hold on behind your legs. Walk back, and now maybe boat pose feels kind of easy. Let yourself bring your feet on forward. You can stretch your legs long and hold on. You can let go if you choose. And then release how you need to. Good. And then put your feet back on the floor. Get your blocks out of the way. All right. Now you don't have to do this one. If you know coming down through that half boat where you curve your spine and really work your belly, hurts your back, don't do it. But if you can start to let yourself come through lower with the body and the legs and feel your belly working here, really feeling the belly strong. And you can go lower and let it keep working, or you can go, oh, no, I'm going down. When you're ready, let yourself come on down. Once you're down there, bring your right knee into your chest. Flex both your feet. Let the back align itself there. Press the right leg into your hands. Good. And then we'll switch legs. So bringing that left knee in, stretching that right leg long, flexing through both feet. Good. And then let yourself bring both feet to the floor. So your knees are bent. We're going to do this little recline. This should feel really easy and good. All right. So your feet are bent. Knees are bent. Feet are on the floor. Let yourself reach down with your right hand towards your right ankle. Now you're going to come into this little side bend. So let the body come on over till you can get a hold of the top of your right ankle. So you're curved. You're in a curve. You feel that? It feels kind of good. Now once you're holding tight to your right ankle, stretch your left leg down long on the floor, and then reach your left arm overhead and bring it on over towards your head a little bit. Now you can let the hand rest on the floor. It's fine. The back of the hand rest on the floor. Just breathe. You're supported by the floor, opening up through the left side. Good. And now you're going to bring your body back to center. Bring your arm on down. Get straightened out. Put your left foot on the floor. Kind of lift your hips around again a little bit till you get evened out. And then reach your left hand down. So you got to reach over to the side, kind of melt your body. It's hard because your mat's sticky, right? But reach on down till you get that left ankle. And then start to extend the right leg down long. Right arm comes on up overhead and then reaches over a little towards your head. You can do this one in the bed. First thing in the morning. So just let yourself breathe into that side. Nice. One more breath. And now come on back into center. Bring your arm down. Bring your feet both to the floor. Come into a couple of little pelvic tilts to let yourself release. And then just let your knees come side to side. You can separate your feet as much as you want. Take your time. You may decide you need another kind of a little twist. Start to listen to what your own body is craving right now. And there might be any number of things after all we just did. So if there is a pose, if there is any other kind of movement that you feel like you would like to do, take your time to do it. Mindful. Stretch out if you need to. Bend whatever you need. Wiggle around if you need to. And I'll start to walk around for here in the studio. if anybody needs some support. So if you're at home, same thing. If you need some support for under your knees, you can roll up blankets. You can use firmer pillows if you don't have a bolster. You know, you can always turn in line with your legs up the wall if that feels good for you. So what's important is just to be able to fully release and not be fighting your body in there, right? Not feeling something that keeps cropping up that feels uncomfortable. Instead, paying attention to that and doing what you need to release it. You know, whatever support. Sometimes even changing. If you're not comfortable, it's okay to lie on your side in Shavasana. You can support yourself with whatever you need. But just allow yourself to be with your own breath. Accepting your breaths in and out. Letting yourself enjoy how the breath calms down the body and how your brain responds as well as you come into finding those little quiet places. Just let yourself completely and fully relax. gradually come in and go out a little more fully and deeply. Take your time as you come back into wanting to move again to let your body move the way it needs. If you need to stretch out everything long or bring your knees in towards your chest or roll onto either your right or your left side, just be mindful